Welcome back, you feisty little fiends. As Jason Aldean would say, we back in the speakers. I am Sarah Kiefer. Welcome to another episode of MB2 Underground.
Wow, and I'm Joe Fox. What's happening, Miss Kiefer?
Not much. We got a lot of good time with El Presidente,
Yep.
and I'm actually really excited that we get to continue that conversation.
Yeah, that's huge. I hate when we get cut off on, some awesome conversations.
Well,
So,
we don't, the listeners, they've only got short commutes.
that's right.
All four of our listeners, we need to make sure that we're being cognizant of their time.
Hey, before we get going on the second co with El Presidente, isn't producer Brittany having a great hair day?
Yes.
Thank you.
Should we pan over to her? Sorry, I thought you were
Yep.
saying this like off the mic and we're still on the mic.
No, I'm still on the mic. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Great hair day, producer Brittany. Appreciate you, girl. All right.
Fantastic.
So let's get rolling. Episode 2 with Mr. Puckett.
Can I go back? Sorry. You started as general counsel and you said within 3 months we're president.
Yeah. I was thinking this recently. We were sitting in the boardroom one day, and at this time, I had convinced him, like, hey, so we need to hire a CFO because, like, we need financials. Like, not just Bank of America account is larger than the month before, good month. It's lower than the month before, bad month.
Yeah. And you're like a half CPA. So
Yeah, very
Quarter CPA at best.
maybe. And so he's like, okay, we're going to do that. Like, we're just sitting around. He's like, well, let's make you president. And he's like, Gabe, Mauricio, y'all good? Like, yeah, let's do it.
All in favor?
Yeah, like, I didn't get a pay raise. I don't even know if they just did it. And I was like, cool. Came on, like, yeah, I'm president.
It's official.
Dental. Yeah. So it was that formal. Yeah.
I love that. That's kind of how I got my title, so I get it.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, you can come back up to post-Sentinel. I just remembered that I wanted to hear that story.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, post-Sentinel, we've got the capital infusion. You've got some sophisticated investors that are giving you advice on, kind of certain things. But again, Dr. V's still running the show. He's still, managing the ship.
Yeah, we didn't really see, from a staff lens, a huge change, like at all. Like I was worried, but I remember our marketing team saying, just think about it like we have a sugar daddy now and we have money we can tap into. We had you remember it in our room. It was a sugar daddy fund.
I remember this.
And it
That
was the
your
vision.
generalization, just
Yeah,
for the record.
that's not me. But no, I think to go back to when we picked Sentinel and why we picked them, they were not the highest bid. They were the third highest financial bid. So,
Wow.
when Dr. B, and at that time, when we were down to 3 parties, we actually brought almost all of the owners in person, and we literally did speed dating with these private equity firms. So,
Wow.
whoever wants to come in Friday. We had them at 3 hotels, and they would interview, and we came back at the end of the day, and we were like literally eating pizza at Lacey Lane, and we're like, so who? And everyone resoundingly chose Sentinel. They're like,
Oh,
they
that's
get it,
cool.
they understand we're different, that we're not these other groups, and so we picked them because of the partner fit. No different than kind of how we pick our owners and our partners today, is that we picked them for that reason. So we had pretty good faith that not a lot would change. And that was important to us because, we had horror. Like, what if they come in and fire all of us? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
And so that was a key thing, and I think it started us off on a strong foot with Sentinel.
Well, and that's a pretty unique approach for a private equity firm, right? To be hands-off and to have that much faith in a portfolio company. Like, that's pretty damn special. And, kudos to you all for being that special where they recognize that. That's unique.
Yeah, and they, I remember they're like, we're 1 month in, they're like, so you need a real CFO. By this time, JC, to be honest, he's doing everything. He's COO, CFO, and he's like, you need to hire one. And Sentinel, they stepped in. We didn't know that. Like, so they had like our search firm. Like, we didn't, like, okay, and they brought in. I think Dr. B and I, we interviewed probably 8 people, and honestly, just none were a fit. I mean, it was all like guys in suits that were like 60, and I'm like looking around like.
Thank you, next.
So I was like, hey, I have another buddy he's a real accountant. That's Jackson Hildebrand. And we brought him in, and V immediately was like, yeah, he's our guy. And I remember that was kind of the first decision where we were like, do we call Sentinel on this? And we had to call him. We're like, hey, I know, because he had never been a CFO before. So all these other guys had all this pedigree and titles. But Dr. B was like, hey, so this is who we want. And to their credit, they're like, let's do it.
Great.
And obviously now, how long he's been here now, 7+ years, like it was the right hire, 100% over.
All right, so you got a legit CFO now. You've got a financial sponsor that's the right fit. right? What happened in the next couple of years after that?
I mean, that's when we really started to grow.
Yeah.
It started to catch fire. I mean, again, our vessels, our own doctors, I mean, have always been our biggest leads. I mean, that, they tell a friend who tell a friend, and it started to spread pretty fast, even from honestly the get-go.
So 2017, about 85?
85 locations.
And then January of 2021, you're like 350 or so?
Yeah,
And
we're 225.
Okay.
And I think it was 350. I think it was 225. But we started to grow fast because the first year I think we did 18, and then it just started
Boom.
to roll.
The word got out.
Yeah, and it was we were flushed in with leads. Like, we weren't reaching out to people at this point. We weren't sending out flyers or any of this. It was
Literally.
yeah, and it was. I mean, I think that's still what's so cool. I remember when we were on the second deal when we partnered with Charles Bank. They're like, talk us through the diligence process, and this is like early on. I remember laughing because like our diligence process in like 2017 was, Dr. McBride. Okay, cool. Like,
Bring him in.
Cool, you're good. Let's partner. Like, we go through the
Like
financials.
we're just like the bouncers are like, you know a guy? All right, go ahead.
It really, but I always say it takes away most of the risk.
Yeah, totally.
We'll financially solve for the valuation. We'll financially get there with when we get all the reports and the P&Ls. And so I'm underselling the sophistication we had at that time, but it really did boil down to like we didn't have deals go bad.
Yeah.
It never did because it was relationships.
So they're asking about diligence, and you're like, yes, the diligences.
So luckily, Susan and Jake started hiring people, and then we, in that time, I think we built kind of the M&A machine.
Yeah.
And that was when we were partnered. We started to grow. People started to hear about MB2 because, again, take back even the name. We did not want to be known. We did not want to be seen. By this time, we're like, okay, we're onto something. And so, I mean, the Sentinel, it was great, but it was 3 years. 3 years of growth, building out BD, building out integration, building out all the departments that support the growth. Because again, we were hiring people left and right.
Yeah, because I joined integration 2018, and it was just Susan, Lindsay, and I for almost a year. And then we hired 3 more directors within 3 months. And it was like, oh, we got to catch up because we were turning and burning.
Doing that many deals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unreal. So, I mean, like 3-year hold time for a private equity portfolio company is like unheard of. That's like extraordinarily quick.
Amidst a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's that too, right? Let's just talk about that. Like, what the hell was it like, being a president and general counsel of a business during COVID?
Yeah, I mean, it was mass chaos. I mean, let's just be very blunt. I mean, that was something. I mean, the word unprecedented kept being used, but it's true. But I think, and I think Charles Bank, who eventually partnered with us, would say this, like, it showed our model better than anyone else. I mean, we're at this time we're now we're in lots of states, but we came back so fast in the pandemic, like faster than anyone else, because we at this point we had data through lenders and everything. They're like, how are y'all back above 100%?
Yeah,
like, because our owners care
and they want to be working.
And you even saw it. Like, I mean, we had people driving down to like fill an 18-wheeler, of PPE.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like our front area literally looked like a drug lab because it's shipping in and out. Wow. But like everyone jumped in. I still remember quite a few of our owners who were also the landlords, the practices, without being asked, was like, "Don't pay me."
That's a special story.
And I'm like, no. They're like, no, don't stop. We'll figure it out later. And I'm like,
wow.
Okay, this is different. Again, it goes back to like they cared about the whole, but they also cared about the practice. And when we came out of that was like it really worked because I mean every night we'd have a Zoom call, and Thomas, our compliance team, they'd go in and say, "This county, here's what changed. This state, here's what we're hearing." I mean, it was all hands on deck because we didn't know how long that was going to last. There was times where I was like, we're furloughed. I'm like, what's happening? What's going to,
not getting paid?
Yeah, we all took massive salary cuts just as like we just foregoed it but we knew we had to work. I mean, we were working.
Sure.
I'm like at home and I see like neighbors who are literally not working and they're all on walks and I'm like in the office. I'm like,
take me with you.
Yeah, I'm like, what's happening? But no, it just showed that the model worked.
Yeah, wasn't Clint doing like shady deals down on like 45 to get masks and PPE?
Yeah,
and
we
stuff?
literally filled an 18-wheeler. I think it was through like some hospital in Houston. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Joe, it's none of your business.
Showed up.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, scrappy.
That's incredible. Yeah, and Dr. V likes to tell this story at Discovery is that during COVID, typical DSOs, doctor doesn't own any of the practice. They didn't really want to work, right, necessarily. And in the MB2 model, the doctors have a significant economic stake. So they wanted to get to work, and they had the means, they had the support from you all, they had the equipment, whereas the typical private owner, they wanted to get back to work too, but they didn't know what the hell to do. They didn't have the support to do it. They didn't have the equipment that they needed. And so it's like a fascinating perspective. I like to tell that story with potential partners, not as like a fear-mongering, but like, hey, look, Big Brother's got your back, and God forbid COVID happens again. But there'll be some other damn thing that occurs that, like you're going to want to have Big Brother at your back.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, people join us for so many reasons, but it is real that, like, I would say, like, a partner when things are good, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You high five. But a good partner when things are bad,
Yep.
that's the benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you go back to when we had 2 hurricanes in like 2 weeks, right? I mean, we had some of our
Unreal.
best practices affected by that, but people jumped in.
That's what I was thinking. The pandemic is a good example of the model working. And I think natural disasters is another example.
Yeah.
Like I remember Harvey, and I remember literally trucks backing up to Lacey and everybody loading stuff into trucks and then driving down to Houston and out to the affected areas to
Wow.
Yeah,
help with relief.
That's a good story. I remember Dr. Schwan and I drove a U-Haul down to Beaumont and delivered all those supplies.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing, I'll never forget, Dr. Wigan, who was our partner in Alaska, her and Dr. Toon. I remember them collecting stuff from their employees
Wow.
and mailing them to Texas. And I remember calling her, I'm like, dude, you didn't have to do that. And to go back, she had met Dr. DeMarco, and they had a friendship. Here you are, Alaska,
Yep.
Fairbanks, Alaska, Beaumont, Texas.
Wow.
I'm not like Carmen San Diego, but far.
Yeah, far.
But they become friends on our owners' trips. And, I think obviously people have talked about those a lot on the podcast.
Yeah.
But, that was one of the few non-negotiables we had with private equity. It was because when I came in here, I was like, Dr. B, what are you doing with all the rebates from Shine? They're like,
What rebates?
what the hell? And I was like, so we got the first rebates in, and we're like, what do we do with this money? And you're like, do we distribute it out to every practice? What do we do?
Cake party.
And he's like, let's just throw a party. And I think it's
Love it.
But like you go back to like that is still what we do today.
Yeah.
Because that's genuine. Like that's actual connection. And Dr. Wigan had met Dr. DeMarco at one of these trips and was like, no, it's important to us. We're going to all ship supplies and down there. And again, just everyone kind of helped in and jumped in.
The concept of like partners are no longer on an island anymore. That's so special too. And it's kind of similar to, hey, Big Brother's got your back, but also, hey, look, you're gonna connect with clinicians all over the country, and like you can talk to them about anything because you guys are invested in the same business together. You're in the same organization. Like that's pretty darn special too.
Yeah, and I think they jump in too of like, what are they good at? I mean, all of these ideas, almost every vendor has come from a partner. So many of our department initiatives have come from a partner. And, the partners talking to each other of like, have your OM go visit our OM, let's trade ideas. Like, we have some of the best clinicians, the best business people, in the country that are our doctor partners.
Yeah.
And getting them to share to each other, like that's, again, it makes all the executives look really good, but it's them. Like, it really is. Like, they adopt it, they pilot stuff for us, give us real feedback, honest feedback, and then they go out and spread the word.
Yeah.
Well, and Dr. V has set a really good example. Like, I'm not a clinician, but as soon as I started in June. Dr. V was doing the Elves Initiative back then. There was no family foundation. It was out of Dr. V's pocket. And I remember he was like, nominate somebody to get this much money. And I nominated 2 people I barely knew. They had just had kids with some complications. But I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. And he ended up giving to every person that got nominated.
Wow.
And seeing that so early on, and then seeing the evolution of that into the family foundation, Dr. V set a really good example of that, investing in good people and leading by example there.
Yeah, and that again, that's one of the the many traits he had that kind of attract me to the business. I mean, because you're ultimately you're investing in people, you're joining. I mean, it's a company, but it's people, and so I mean, like the Hurricane Harvey thing, that's what spun the Family Foundation.
Yeah,
but he's always done that. I mean, the owners' trips, the Elves initiatives. There's so many examples of things we've always done, way pre-private equity, that we still do today.
Wow.
So how did we pull off a transaction amid a pandemic?
Yeah, we were not looking to partner with anyone. I mean, again, we're shut down basically.
Yeah.
One of our doctors called Dr. B one day and he's like, "Hey, my brother-in-law is a private equity guy. And we're like, okay, everyone's got a brother-in-law in private equity. Perfect.
I got a
who
guy.
doesn't?
You got to take this. You got to take the call. So I think it was Dr. B, me, and JC and Jackson jumped on a call. And again, it's COVID, so we had some time. And it was Brandon White who with Charles Bank, and he had been watching kind of from the sidelines, like our model, because of his brother-in-law. And he was like, no, like, kind of had the realization I did when I met Dr. B. He's like, we've looked at every dental platform. This is different.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, but dude, I don't know if you know, but we've lost a lot of money last month or two. Like, we're shut down. Now we're back.
The
But
bank account went down, which is bad.
Bad.
So that first call is what, summerish 2020?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
That's like people still
Still-
barely
yeah,
on
and I'm
airplanes.
talking like, so we did our management presentation, was literally over Zoom. We still have a picture somewhere. It's like where we were all, when we got close to it, we're in masks and even,
That's cute.
it was, but no, I mean, I think I would say that happened organically. It really did. I remember Dr. B calling Sentinel was like, so I have like this group that wants to buy us, and what price should I say? And you're like, yeah, right. And told them, and we told Charles Bank, and we're like, oh, they said yes. Okay, so we called Sentinel back, and he's like, so no, they're serious.
Yeah.
And like Dr. B Fashion pulled it off, and somehow made both parties end up liking each other and everyone happy. But yeah, I mean, it happened pretty fast that time. The first time we did a massive auction process, so many meetings, so much diligence. This time, one meeting basically, and a lot of diligence still. But I mean, we just knew they were kind of exactly the same thing, just a good fit. They wouldn't change things. Mm-hmm. They had some expertise, and that we're at a level that we knew we needed if we wanted to kind of keep rolling.
Yeah. So again, another skill of Dr. V, playing investment banker.
Yeah,
On its own.
absolutely.
I love that. They don't have that class in dental school. So, so again, big transformative transaction, and then walk us through kind of what we've been through in the last few months and kind of how we've got here, right? In terms of the growth from then was, substantial. Now 762. I think we have 2 to close tomorrow. 764 partnerships from that, 2-3-ish hundred, whatever.
Yeah, and I think
It was 229 because I remember the other day looking at, we had a practice close on the day we transacted. And I was telling my coordinator like how impactful this recap was because of the growth from 2021, because everybody was running around ragged.
Yeah.
I thought Puckett was a zombie for about a week. And I was telling her, because I was like, oh, well, this practice closed, and I think their GP number is like 229. And so I was just thinking about that now, from there to 750-ish practices.
Yeah. I mean,
unreal growth.
Yeah, and I think, but what happened then, because when we partnered with Sentinel, everyone was like, okay, like private equity, again, it's new. I think the different, when we transacted with Charles Bank, and again, with our model where the doctors are in the same class of stock as private equity, they're participating at the same multiple. That was kind of it was unheard of.
Yeah.
And so many people who maybe like, I love the model, I love the autonomy, but financially, what's this private equity thing? Are they going to change stuff? When they saw so many of our doctors, I mean, just to be blunt, have financial windfalls, which most of them put all the money again back in the company.
Life-changing events.
Life-changing events. And by the way, we were young, and they were like, I think that was like the event. I was like, okay, this is
now
like,
we get it.
We are onto something. And that is when, we were 100 plus locations every year. Every week we had 2, 3, 4 closings. It just started because anyone sitting on the fence at that time last year or two started to say, okay, let's go. And I think, I'm something I'm really proud of. Like even, we'll get into our most recent transaction, but throughout all of these, like everyone stayed the same. I mean, Dr. V, who's now, financially has made a lot of money. Not shocking. People always ask, like, okay, does he not care anymore? Does he kind of, check the box and he's, take the foot off the gas? And I'm always like, quite the opposite.
Exactly.
Like, I still tell everyone, I'm like, I remember the day after Sentinel, he was in the office and he's like, let's go.
What's next?
And then fast forward to literally 3 weeks ago, we've been working a lot of hours, and Monday he's like, we're behind. And I'm like, dude, we just closed, man. Like,
chill out, boss.
But like, him pushing so hard is why we're here. Like, I've always said that. Like, that is why we are here, and he's still involved. Like, for him, it really is about winning. It's about changing the industry, doing what's right for our doctor partners who, every time one of them signs with us, like that's a commitment. We're taking their baby, their legacy, their business, and I mean, they're entrusting us with that. And he always, we send a text out to congratulate them, and he always says, "Thank you for trusting us with." That's their life, that's their legacy, and so I think that's what now it still motivates in the exact same way we did when we had 20. This is right for the industry, and more importantly, it's right for our partners, and we owe it to them because they took a leap of faith on us, and so that's why. I mean, he works more now than he did when I started, and has no reason to other than that. I think that's why no executives left. Like it is a passion for kind of what we've built and what we're building.
Yeah, again, every great entrepreneur has that like drive, this thing that gets them up in the morning when money is not a motivation anymore, right? And that's special. And when I talk to potential partners, explaining like, hey, Dr. V was his vision was to take care of dentists, right, for the sake of the industry, right? He really wanted to protect dentists, like. Hey, get them some cost savings. That's kind of easy to understand. Explain time savings, same thing, easy to understand. But it's like, it's not just that. It was superior financial outcomes, right? Dr. V views you as a great, incredible entrepreneur. You're not a mechanic. And so you therefore should be compensated as a great, fantastic entrepreneur. And that component of having their back financially too, that's really darn cool and really darn special.
Yeah, I mean, I always said, like, I mean, the first transaction with Sentinel, like, we had 32 people become millionaires that day.
Unreal.
And by the way, the average age at that time, we are like babies.
Silly.
30, and I'm like, how cool is that? And now, quite a few of them went and bought dumb stuff, cars, boats, whatever, but most of them put a lot of money back in the business. And now that you've gone 3 transactions in, I think they've been rewarded, but they continue to trust. And I think you jump ahead to what we had happen, whatever, a couple weeks ago, a month ago now.
Blurry.
It's blurry. Very blurry. Timelines are blurry right now. But, we partnered with, Warburg Pincus and KKR, and Charles Bank is still in the deal. So, like, when we had individual conversations with every doctor partner. So I think it was like 620 because someone did it together. We did all of these, literally 25-minute meetings over a week. A lot of hours, a lot of people.
Longer than a week because it started in San Diego.
We did do San Diego. So, call it, a week and a half. But, like, I was so amazed, like, when I always said I wish everyone could have been in those meetings because it does make you believe in the company more.
Yeah.
Like, hearing them, people who had just joined us, people who have been with us 14 years, were like, okay, so we got these 3 new, we were two new ones, sugar daddies, best in class private equity firms in the world.
Really, truly.
Like, literally.
I guess that's kind of dumbing it down. Sorry. I'm not trying to undersell them.
The best sugar daddies in the world.
Yeah.
But then, like, it goes back to continuing, like, how will we get better? And, Charles Bank staying in, the Warburg Pincus, KKR, like, how exciting is that for everybody? I mean, we had so many doctors roll in after-tax dollars that they didn't have to, just because, again, they do believe we are still in the, early stages of building something special. I've always said this place, it's a 15-year-old startup. And it still feels that way, and
it's one of the coolest things about working here, man. It's the 15-year-old $4 billion startup.
Yeah, right. And, we've taken it from, I think we had like a fake offer that we made up ourselves. It was like, $40 million or something when I started, and now it's like, close to $4 billion. And just, again, it's just getting going. There's so much left to do, and the industry is changing so much right now. I mean, we got this recent deal done when. We're in another. Again, we talk about COVID. Every deal we've done, we basically have done it in a chaos period.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're in this
on brand
financial world. Weird financial world, called with interest rates being so high. No dental deals are getting done, and the fact that we are able to do this, and again, a little over 3.5 years, I think speaks to the partners, speaks to what we built, speaks to the leadership, and just kind of the stability of the business.
Yeah, the model like speaks for itself, and it resonates and it works. One of the most inspiring things that I've encountered again in my old guy 24 years of financial experience is watching you and all the execs in that war room for those for that straight week and a half. You're going from the owner's trip, which was a lot of long nights and a lot of early mornings there, straight into that next Monday, catching a flight Sunday night, next Monday at 5 a.m. here till midnight. Really, truly watching you all in that war room. I mean, it was incredibly inspiring.
Bruv, I spent 1 hour in the command center and so much props. Like, there was like a lot going on, but when you don't see it, you don't understand it. And watching you guys like bouncing from place to place and trying to reorganize, and I was terrified, quite frankly.
I mean, there's a lot of Celsius, a lot of caffeine, a lot of snacks. I mean, unhealthy habits. Unhealthy habits were developed. But I mean, again, we did not have to do those meetings. I think it goes back to what we did in the first transaction. We brought everyone here. Well, now we can't do those 700, but we literally, like, everyone deserves their own meeting because everyone's situation is different. Their practice is different. Like, what phase is the practice in? Are they growing? They have all these new initiatives they're about to expand? Because one of our big things is that you are not required ever to sell. Like, I don't care what the legal documents say, you're not required. And so everyone deserves their own conversation. Yeah. Some had multiple because it's a hard decision. Yeah. You know, and I always say there's no right answer. But we had to do those meetings. And yes, it was an awful long week, but really cool in the same way. But like, you've got to see we have to do it. And we will still figure a way to do that next time. Like, it will always be that way because everyone's situation is unique. And we can't lose sight of that just because we're growing.
And you mentioned that there's still a lot left to do. How does the focus coming out of our third recapitalization event look different than how it did prior? Like, Sentinel was a shift from de novo to acquisition growth. 2021 was survival, but there was obviously a shift there. What's the focus and what does the future look like with this new partnership we have?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's continue to open new doors, right? Like, we, throughout and given kind of the current market the dental industry is in with so many, platforms and groups struggling. Like, we've gotten so many calls already from like mid-sized, smaller platforms. Could we partner? Could we do something? There's just stuff that is going to come about that will be different because of our size. And, we're already focused on what's the next outcome, whether that be, is it public? Is it another private equity firm? Do we just hold? Like, there's so many different ways to do it. And we've always said if we continue to do what we do, if we're successful, we will have options. Like, that's the good news. Yep. And so I think a lot of it's going to be focused on how do we invest in technology? How do we build our central services to continue to get better? Now that we have size, we have scale. Yeah. Like, we have, we matter. Like, we can kind of throw our weight around. And so how do we use that for payer rates from supplies? Every I say department, how do we use our size to our advantage? And how do we continue to bring back, because that's bringing value to our owners.
Absolutely.
If we have a dollar increase in a code, they are going to make more money in a profit share that next month, which is awesome. And that's why we get so much buy-in. But I think a lot of it's going to be just investing in technology. How do we get better in every single department? And then how do we, we will have access to some, in my opinion, just more unique deals. And obviously, we had more leads come in through our BD team in the first 2 weeks after the transaction than we had the previous 6 months. And
that's amazing.
We always do see that. And I think, again, it's just continuing to find the best partners out there. And there's still so many that we've talked to today. And we have, I think, 3 discovery days going on right now.
Yep.
And so I think it's just continuing to do that. And we're excited to have Warburg and KKR just to help with Charles Bank, just because they all have different experiences. We want to learn from them. I mean, every day that we're here is, frankly, a day that we're in over our skis in the most polite way, but it's true. And we love that. And there's no ego. It's like, no, let's get better. How do we do it?
Yeah, I love it. We're just vibing.
Just vibing. We're just vibing. What are you the most proud of?
Dang, that's a good question. I think I'm the most proud of that the company and the people are still the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
culture has
a lot
changed.
of money that's flowed through, but not even just at work, but there's a lot of good humans here.
Yep.
And I think it's again, Dr. B is still the same person.
Yeah, totally.
So many people are, and our owners, the partners. I mean, we have retirees who are totally out of the business that still want to come to the owners' trips, that still want to come hang out when they're in Dallas.
Go to recruiting events.
Yeah.
Help with MB2U.
Yeah, they go to recruiting events. They don't have to. They're not paid. And I think that's probably what I'm most proud of is that we've obviously been successful, but we still have so many damn good people here.
Yeah, that's special.
Makes the hard day survivable.
100%.
That's what I look around and see is I can't imagine working at a place where I like the people I work with as much as I like these weirdos.
Yeah. And I think I've told, Kiefer this, whether it's first owner's trip or first mission trip, I'm like, you will come back more impressed with this company than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see what they do on a mission trip. You're like, they're incredible surgeons.
Oh, that was
it's crazy, right?
Insane.
And then on the owner's trip, you're like, they're incredible people.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think that's always what you come back and you're like, yeah, this is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Do you remember having to sit down with me before my first owner's trip and warn me? You're like, let me just tell you what to expect.
Yeah,
I'm very thankful for that conversation.
I did. I let her know that our owner's trips, we're not all doing CE all day. It's let loose, go have fun.
I've been here
whatever.
like a year. I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
But after our trip down to Waco, I should have known better.
Yeah, so it's been it's been an awesome ride, and I really do believe like we really are still in the early innings.
Just getting going.
So you don't ever wish you were still at that law firm hour after hour, minute after minute?
No, not at all. And I still have buddies that are like, "What do you do? Like what dental?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yes.
it's
I'm a dental
it's complicated." Yeah, so no, but it's I think the future, why we're all still here is we know there's still so much left to do, and like it's the unknown too. Like we will be a different company. We're always pivoting, always thinking. That's what Dr. B, how he leads. He comes in Monday morning, he's going, I had 3 ideas this weekend. And I'm like, oh hell, here we go.
Every Monday, 4-hour meeting.
And it's always
he leads.
these ideas, and you look back and you're like, we're a different company. We will be a different company a year from now than we are today, and we'll be the same 2 years from now, 3 years from now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've always known. No ego. We have to change. Have to be nimble, and we have to be kind of just constantly thinking, how do we get better?
And being led by a visionary, I mean, really, truly, like that's such a special, unique talent that great entrepreneurs have. But like being able to see the future like that, that's pretty damn cool.
Oh no, and look, we have I always say I have a courtside seat to watching him, how he thinks, how he is always thinking ahead, and brain's always ticking, and again, the same could be said even you go down layers beneath our executive team. I mean, we have directors, and we literally, I always say, like, we have 200, we have 450 people here, but we have like 200 people who have been here years and years and years that have offers to go everywhere all the time. And it's like, he's done that, but he has made other people do the exact same thing, which is just so damn fun to watch.
Yeah, it really is. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't hit on?
Trying to think.
Shout out to that beautiful wife now.
Yeah. Shout out to the fam. People always ask about my tattoo. I don't know if that's come up in the
Oh,
in the
I can't believe
podcast,
we
but no,
almost-
we're not showing it here. But
Please
yes,
don't.
I have the tattoo of the the original MB2 logo on my butt. And everyone asks, I'll just give you the 1-minute version. We drove down to Austin, and where Dr. Crockett was opening a new office, and we had
Why does Joe
there
have
was like
cash?
I'll get there.
Okay.
We had like I think about 10 owners sitting around the table because we were all just celebrating with Dr. Crockett, and just people being dumb. We're like, how much would it cost you to get a tattoo? And like, whatever, $1,000, $2,000. It gets around to me, and I said the amount. I was like, Dr. B literally said, like, end of dinner, and he's like, we're going right now across the street. And before I could change my mind, I was like, oh damn, like, peer pressure is real.
And this is in Austin.
It's in Austin, so there's a tattoo
everywhere.
literally across the street, and so I freaked out, but I was like, I got to do it. Like, I had to do it, and so did it.
How long had you been here?
I think that was 2015. So
Barely.
couple
I just
years.
try to imagine the missus.
No, here's the story. Yeah, so it's like a Tuesday night. So I remember we drove back to Austin or to Dallas. It's like get home at 2 a.m. Like I wake her up. I'm like, she's like, why are you waking me up? I'm like, well, good news, bad news.
What had happened was
She's like, bad news. I'm like, I got a tattoo on my butt last night of the company logo. She's like, you're an idiot. Like, good news is I'm gonna give you like $2,000 tomorrow. You can do whatever you want with it. So I got paid $10,000. I told her 5, so she get 2 of it, but I found out it was 10 later. But by the way, I'd still do it today for $10,000. So
Now we got it. on
I
the-
keep- I
don't
keep
think
that,
your
yeah.
20s are going to go very far here.
That's
But-
part of the
part of the deal was at any owner's trip, if I get asked to show it, I get paid $100.
I didn't know it
So-
was just an owner's trip.
Well, I'm kind of making that one up, that part up.
Well, yeah, my
a good
first
lawyer.
My first experience with it was on an owner's trip where all the new owners had to go up to the front, and it was take a shot or
yeah,
kiss the
yeah.
logo. And I was sitting there, I was
Everyone
like,
took a shot.
like I said, I've been here like a year, and I was like, ooh, what's the logo? Oh no,
Yeah.
put it away.
Yeah, it's a, and now my family knows, and it's like now that I have kids, they're like, Daddy, what's that sticker? And I like get the look. I'm like, yeah, it's
It's a sticker.
yeah, that's a story for a later time when you're older.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so that's part of the one.
No, I appreciate you. This has been fun, man.
No, it's been a blast. I think y'all are really good at what y'all do. It's fun to listen every week.
This is
You're
good
pretty
to
good at what you do as well.
hang out and talk to cool people. It's easy.
Awesome.
Listeners, thank you for joining us for another informative, great episode of the MB2 Underground Podcast. We'll catch you next time.
Go kill the pucking day.